Do you find the color scheme of your space shocking or mundane? Have you ever thought, why is it so? It's all about soothing your visual sense. You may sometimes find yourself irritated or uncomfortable in your space because the color scheme around you has a lot of influence on your mind, mood, emotion, thought process, and overall behavior pattern. And this is scientifically proven. Few color schemes may lift up your mood, while few may put you down. Same way, the design also has a long lasting effect due to right or wrong color scheme. So today, let's see why are the colors so important in your interior design project and what effect they cast on you. Let's discuss in detail. Coming right up. Hey, I am Architect-Nilesh Sawant, having an experience in the field of architecture and interior designing for the last 25 years. If you truly want to understand the field of architecture and interior design and want to know how it really works on site, then subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. Can you imagine the world without colors? For a stance, let's just close our eyes and imagine the world absolutely colorless. I bet it is indeed a depressing sight. Colors play a very important role not only on the visual appearance of the space but also on your mental state. So, to balance the visual appearance and to soothe your senses, you must know the following facts while selecting the colors of your interior designing project. Fact number one: role of the color in interiors. Colors are the most important and effective part of any interior design project. They depict the use and purpose of the space at the same time can make a space look soothing or unpleasant. This further affects the visual three-dimensional perspective of the space. For example, an object painted in darker color will appear smaller, or the same object painted in lighter color will appear larger in volume. Along with this, if your visual sense is not treated well, you may start feeling uncomfortable in that particular space. There is a psychology of colors, most commonly known as the color therapy, and it definitely has the power to influence an individual emotions, mood, and overall behavior. Fact number two: color palette of the space. The color palette of a space, in simple word, means the combination of colors. However, when I say colors, remember I am referring to a combination of colors which is known as the color scheme or the color palette. No single color should be used in monotone or in shades, as it will not be called as color scheme or color palette. The colors and their combinations used for a particular space can alter the visual appearance of it, and so before choosing the color scheme of a space, you should consider: number one, the age of the user for that particular space. For example, the likings towards color scheme that of a kid, of a youth, and a grown up will differ. Number two, the purpose of the space. For example, if you are designing a bedroom for kids, it should always have bright and vivid color scheme. Or if it is a study room, it should have soft and soothing colors and so on. Number three, consider the maximum natural light available for that space. Any space with more natural light can have a darker color palette, but with low natural light, you will have to go with a brighter colors. Remember a simple fact: a space may seem bigger or smaller because of the color scheme used. Fact number three: types of color palettes in interiors. Residential interiors have a tried and tested set of 4 types of color palettes which can never go wrong if applied wisely. Let's see what the types of color palettes are. Number one, warm color palette. Like the name suggests, all the warm colors and its shades like yellow, red, orange that appear visually warm are included in this type. It can be used in a kitchen, puja room, or kids room. Type number two, cool color palette. This is opposite to the earlier type of palette. Here colors are grey, white, blue, which appear cool and calm visually are included. These colors are mostly used in a family room or the bedrooms. Type number 3, bright color palette. In this palette, all the high tones of red, orange, green, yellow are used, which appear sharp and give an alert look to the space. This color palette is for gyms, yoga centers, or shops where alertness is expected. Type number 4, contrast color palette. In this type, the colors which visually appear opposite in nature are included. For example, red in combination with blue and its shades. It is majorly used in places like banquets, discotheques, or malls. Now, after knowing these facts, you may find yourself arrive at a question: where do I start from? Yes, indeed, this question is valid and very common when it comes to choosing color palette. While selecting the color palette for a space, one should always start with choosing the color of the flooring. The material of the flooring might be any, be it a marble, tile, carpet, or wooden flooring. Specification doesn't matter but the color. Let's understand it better. If you choose darker color for your floor, then the rest would go in lighter shades, or a lighter color will have darker shades up. So fix the color and shade of your flooring first to have a uniform and disciplined color palette, and everything will fall in place. But while doing all this, follow a set of guidelines. Let's see those guidelines. Guideline number 1, color culture. Try to maintain the same color palette throughout the space and avoid any kind of visual or cultural shock while moving from one room to another room. Guideline number 2 is purpose of the space. Consider the purpose of the space before choosing the color scheme for it. For example, the purpose of a bedroom is to rest and that of a dining room is to energize. So choose the color scheme accordingly. Guideline number 3, time spent in the space. Consider the amount of time you will be spending in that particular space. Do not create shocks by colors in residential interiors because you spend a lot of time in your house. Shocks by colors are good for restaurant or discotheques where you spend not more than 2 or 3 hours. Guideline number 4 is about enclosure. Select lighter color scheme for enclosures which are formed by walls and ceiling. Guideline number 5 is technology in colors. Nowadays, a technology has advanced so much that every color shade has its specific code. Keep the color code printed in a file for future use so that the color shades don't vary. Guideline number 6 is sampling of colors. Whatever color palette you choose, make sure you get a sample tester for it from the vendor. Make a small sample of your color palette on a surface to have actual feel of the color palette and then only go ahead with entire coloring. Guideline number 7 is ecology of pens. Nowadays, instead of going with oil-based pens, it is advisable to use water-soluble paints which are eco-friendly, odorless, quick drying, and have less impression on human life. These colors are also more UV stabilized. Guideline number 8 is about the overall color feel. Last but not the least, remember the color palette not just involves the walls and ceiling, but it's an affair of all the loose items that will go in that particular space. So consider the color scheme of the loose items that you may pick off the shelf while designing. So after knowing all this, I hope you have understood the depth and the importance of choosing the right color palette for your space. Colors have a strength to influence your mood and emotions. A perfect color combination will take your design to one level up, and a wrong one will take your design one level down. So choose your color palette wisely based on the color culture, purpose of the space, amount of time spent in the space, enclosures, technology in colors, its visual feel, ecological effect, and the overall effect. If you enjoyed this video, then see similar videos on my YouTube channel, Architect-Nilesh Sawant. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Happy coloring and designing.